It's a little dark in here. I'm gonna turn on my shop light. There we go. How's that? That looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna check the phone periodically just to check comments and stuff like that. Um, we've got lots to talk about, lots of work to do. We're not actually doing any work with this. I just like to look at it for motivation. We're actually pretty much done with this right now. If you guys don't know, I haven't shown this on the channel, I think, but maybe once or twice. I've been tinkering with this for like over a year now. Uh, but I didn't even grab the batteries. I'll put batteries in it in a little bit. But this is a Huna or Hoina or however you want to pronounce it. Uh, 1551 long arm excavator, 14th scale. I've been painting and detailing. I've taken this thing entirely apart. I've done a lot of work to this. It's still stock electronics, but I've done a lot of work to it. It's got a lot going on in there. Uh, I changed the weights in it. Uh, we've greased everything so it rolls a little better. I honestly can't even remember everything I've done to this because it's been such a long project. But we're going to talk about this for a little bit, let you look at it real close and whatnot. And then I got some work to do on my pulling truck. We're going to do some. I hope we're going to make the pulling truck a little more reliable. We'll work on that. I'm going to move this off to the side here in a little bit. Then we got more work to do on my Ford F-250 crawler. We're going to do some work on that. I got to glue my mirrors back on. I have a new video coming out today at 5 o'clock of that truck. Let me move this. That's a heavy truck. So this truck right here, new video on this one comes out at 5 o'clock today. You'll find out why both my mirrors snapped off again. I feel like every time I take this truck out, I snap both the mirrors. Literally every single time. Every time I go out crawling, I lose both of these mirrors. Now I don't like lose them, but they do get snapped off. So we're gonna glue those back on. That'll be an easy job. I mean, that's just some good old super glue. We're just gonna glue those back on. That'll be like 10 seconds worth of work. But the majority of the work today is going to be on our pulling truck. I'm really behind on that. If I have time, because I'm only going to stream for probably about an hour. If I have time, I'm going to try and work on my trailer build. I don't know if we'll get to that or not, but that needs a lot of work too. But yeah, let's get started. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It does help. I have been asked before why I don't go live so often on TikTok. And mainly the reason I don't go live on TikTok, it's not that you don't get that many benefits. It's that I'm a YouTube partner, so I actually get paid for my live streams on YouTube, and I don't get paid on TikTok. I don't even know, uh, somewhere over 3,000 on TikTok, and in order to get paid on TikTok, from my understanding, you need to be at 10,000. So maybe when I get to 10,000 on TikTok, I'll, start doing more live streams over there. But right now, I'm actually making money. Like, you guys watching this is actually helping me make money so that I can buy more stuff and show you more cool things. So that answers that question. Let's get to it. We're going to put this off to the side over there. Let's talk about this. I'm going to see if I can bring this a little closer, and hopefully it won't be in shadow and stuff like that. Yeah, it's going to be in shadow. Let me move you guys around a little bit. Maybe. Can we move you? Move you just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Nice. All right. Now, if you can see, there we go. I've done a lot of weathering work on this little excavator. A lot of painting work. I've done black washes everywhere. Made it look like it actually has little hydraulic leaks everywhere. I made it greasy and oily. Now, this isn't an actual hydraulic excavator. It's a servo powered one with little electric motors and gear ratios and stuff like that. But I wanted it to look as realistic as possible. So I did a lot of weathering work on this. This was actually bright orange. Let me show you what color orange this was. So it was this color orange, the whole thing. That whole excavator was this color orange. I painted this excavator 3 times. So I originally painted the whole thing black with this jet black acrylic. Not this specific bottle, but it took a lot of black. It took hours and hours of painting, hand painting with a brush, painted the whole thing black. Then I painted the whole thing a rust color. I mixed up my own rust color. I use various browns and reds and oranges. But then I painted the whole thing rusty. Then I went in, I don't know the exact color code on Caterpillar. I don't know what cat yellow is their actual color code for that. Come on, focus. 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 There we go. Golden Sunset. Golden Sunset makes a pretty nice cat yellow. So then I did everything in that Golden Sunset color. Then I did the black wash. And how I do my black wash is like super easy. All I do, come on, get off of there. I take a little cup like this, put some of that acrylic black in there, and I mix it with water until it's good and watery. And then I just dribble it wherever I feel like I want a hydraulic leak to look, or an oil leak or something like that, and just kind of just get messy with it. And it's pretty fun for me to do that. So like if you look right here, there's a little hydraulic leak, what appears to be a little hydraulic leak right there. Pretty cool. And then just did some little tiny oil leaks. Anywhere where you would think of a hydraulic leak would be, that's kind of where I painted. I did some rust work here on the bucket area and arm. Did some sanding on the bucket. This thing technically isn't really strong enough to dig in hard dirt or anything like that. It does have a sound kit. I'm going to plug a battery in there and we can play with it for a second. And then we'll get to work on what I actually have to work on today. Let me be right back. I'm going to grab a battery. All right. So these are the batteries that I run. Blomkey. It's AA 900 mAh 7.2. I'd like to get better batteries for this. I want to give it a little more boost, but this is what I got right now. So eventually we'll put, I don't know if I'm going to get LiPo batteries for this, because like I have some LiPos that are JST. The downside with running a LiPo battery in this is that I'm pretty positive the motherboard in this has no LiPo cutoff. So unless I put a voltage meter somewhere in the cab or something like that, I could potentially kill a LiPo running it too far dead. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but LiPo batteries, if you run them all the way down to 0, they won't charge back up, and that's no good. You don't want to do that. LiPo batteries are really expensive, and you could kill them in one run if you don't know what you're doing. All right, so let's get that in there. I've swapped out the original weights. It used to have, I think, 3 or 4 of these little steel weights in there. I have since put lead weight in there, and makes it significantly heavier, even though it takes up the same amount of space. So that's awesome. All right, we're gonna, hopefully it's balanced enough. Well, I mean, we could take it down. There ain't nothing super breakable right there. Just a bunch of parts and tools. Hopefully the sound kit isn't crazy loud. I don't know if... Oh yeah. Hopefully that's not too terribly loud. Definitely a really fun excavator. Come on. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Sound kit, I can't adjust the volume on the sound kit. I wish I could. Yeah, I can either turn it off or turn it on. So I mean, it's pretty basic. I want to say these are like a little over $100 brand new. Now they won't look like this, obviously. They'll be in this color. They do make cat yellow colored ones. They don't have the cat stickers on them, and those are about the same price. But they're not the long arm. They're a shorter arm, so you don't get as much of a reach. It is what it is. But I mean, Huina or Huna or whatever you want to call them, that's probably most people's price range for heavy equipment RC. Most people can't afford, the $3,000 to $4,000 hydraulic units. Now, if you can, that's great. That's awesome. I will eventually get there one day. YouTube blows up. Something like that. Get some serious views going. That'd be awesome. I'm not sure how much this weighs. I would guess maybe close to 7-8 pounds, maybe. I don't know. It's fairly heavy for a 14 scale. All right, let's get this off to the side here. We got to do some work, some like actual work. I'm not even sure how to go about getting this actual work done, but let me show you what I got going on here. So this is my 10-pound puller. I don't remember what class it actually is called. Super stock, I think it's a super stock. But yeah, it used to be a pro modified class, and I had a brushless system and a lot of really cool stuff on it and whatnot, but it just didn't perform like I really wanted it to. So if it's not going to perform good, I'd rather it just look nice. So we stepped down a class so that I could put regular off-road tires on there. Not that you can't run off-road tires in the Pro Modified. You can. It's just everybody, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So I stepped down a class. I made it a little lighter, changed the body around. Completely different chassis now. We'll go into that here in a minute. But this is a Tamiya F350 hard body. I got these 3D printed fenders. I think his name is Stubbs. Yes, Stubbs RC. So if you have a, come on, focus. Stubbs RC. If you have this body, he may do other bodies, I don't know. But if you need some 3D printed inner fenders, he does 3D printing. I strongly suggest give him a shout out. He got these to me pretty quick. I met him at Beat the Creek, and I want to say within like a week of me getting home, he had already printed them and sent them to me. So like that was really great to get those. They're not bolted in all the way. I just have 2 bolts on each one. I'll eventually get matching hardware to make it look nice and pretty and all that. It's a magnetic body. So we got, I also have lights. I got headlights, tail lights, and side marker lights on this, and plug it into a JST. It's a pretty nice body. I've had this for few years now. It's been beat up pretty good, but it gets the job done. All right, that's not what we're working on today. What we're working on today is the chassis, and I'm not exactly happy with the chassis right off the bat. This is a Red Cat Gen 8 chassis. As far as durability, Red Cats have thicker, heavier duty frame rails than just about anybody else. I've seen Traxxas frame rails and Axial and everybody's frame rails. Red Cat's frame rails are thick, so they're very sturdy. So I'm not really worried about that part. What I am worried about, this is not an original Red Cat driveline. If you know anything about those, the motor sits way up here. I've done some really quirky stuff, and I don't like the angle of my drive shafts. My drive shafts, they got too much of a bend in them. When you're pulling, you want your drive shafts, if you're using drive shafts, I mean, some people use chain drives, but if you're using drive shafts, you want that to be as level as possible, because as soon as you start bending angles and stuff like that, that's a big torque load. You're probably going to snap stuff. I'm not planning on pulling an incredible amount of weight with this thing. It's probably not going to place well. However, the thought process that I'm having is I need to figure out how to help my driveline angles without sacrificing other stuff. And that requires a whole lot of link geometry and whatnot. I'm not going to do everything today. Like I said, I only got like an hour to do this live stream. So we're going to just kind of mull over some stuff of what I could do. All the rear links are tied into the original skid plate. And the only reason I'm using two skid plates, so that's something I should also mention. I have two skid plates bolted together with this, and that's not ideal. I'd like to do it with just one skid plate. It's just I didn't have a place to put my upper links. So if I can think of something to do with the upper links, this should work out well, and I can get that drive line a lot lower. So what I'm anticipating, what I'm going to try and screw around and mess with, is I'm going to unbolt this transmission from the first skid plate, and while that skid plate is still bolted down, that's going to be a multi-step process. So this is what happens when you make custom stuff, is you box yourself into corners, and sometimes you completely forget how you put this thing together. But it's not super complicated. What's that, a 1.5? Not what I need. Realistically, I could care less if this thing places well. I just want it to look good going down the track. So, I mean, if I can't fix this driveline thing, like the driveline itself runs pretty smooth. I mean, look at that. There's not a lot of binding or anything like that in there. And this is a pretty low power system. I mean, it's technically I could probably pull just fine with the way it is, but I would like to try and make it better if I can. More simple, the more simple you build these things, the better. Is that a 1.5? Did I actually need a 1.5? I did. I did need a 1.5. See, I'm learning. I also have to take these wheels off because some of the hardware on the back is starting to back out. I've got lots of stuff I got to get done on this thing. And like I said, I'm probably not going to do everything right now. But I haven't made a video on this since I put it together. And sometimes it's just easier to do a live stream. You know, shoot from the hip. I mean, I don't really like make scripts or anything like that for my videos. But sometimes it's just easier. See, I have two different size hardware on the drive shafts. This thing is a total cobbled up mess. There's I mean, I don't even know what you would call this other than an HRWRC build, because it's like a bunch of different brands put together. What else? I mean, we've got Red Cat, Axial, there could be Traxxas parts on there. Honestly, I'm not sure. But like, I've literally just reached into my parts bin. It does have Traxxas parts. There's a Traxxas receiver box right there. I basically reached into my parts bin, pulled out a bunch of junk and slapped everything together to make a pulling truck. So, you know, this isn't like a sponsored build or anything like that. This is literally a cobbled up mess. And I'm okay with that because it should be a lot of fun. I hope. I hope it's a lot of fun. We'll find out. That I can use the drill for. Because I think what we're going to do... How long is that screw? There we go. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to unbolt what we can and then unbolt the transmission from the first skid plate, then bolt the second skid plate back to the first skid plate, and then we're going to use a drill and trace the holes for the transmission so that we can bolt through the original skid plate into the transmission and mount it. Because double skid plates are just, it's ridiculous. This whole build is ridiculous, but that's kind of what makes it fun, I guess. Oh, I have more Traxxas parts. These are Traxxas links. These are plastic links. They're just really thick and beefy. So, yeah, total cobbled up mess. But I mean, if you can build something out of a total cobbled up mess of parts, I mean, that's pretty cool. Because, like, there's no directions for that kind of stuff. There we go. Is that almost out? Yeah. Alright, so the first skid plate has been unbolted from the second skid plate, which again, I know is absolutely ridiculous. I think I was rushing to get this done, and now that I have a little bit of time before Rock the Ozarks, now I actually want to build it the right way. You ever do that? Just slap some stuff together just to get to an event? Like, that's usually pretty fun. I said I was going to check these. Alright, sweet. Still up to date. Alright. So, we have unbolted that monstrosity. So now we're going to unbolt the transmission from the first skid, or from the second skid. And then all we got to do is just bolt the first skid back down to the second skid and use that as a tracing pattern. Alright. Yeah, this is a all-metal portal transmission. It doesn't use a spur gear. I don't know if that's going to hurt the performance or not. We'll find out. I haven't seen anybody pull with a portal transmission, but most people in the pulling circuit and stuff, they usually don't show off what they're pulling with. And, you know, I can understand that. That's fine. I'm not that competitive about it. I don't care if you build this, I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably not going to win. If you copy exactly what I'm doing, it's probably not going to work out for you. Because it's not the smartest way to build this. There is plenty of better ways to build a pulling truck. Oh, so I used an existing hole for that. I haven't had this thing apart since I put it together like a couple months ago. But we're going to bolt that back down. Alright, so that's bolted down. And now let's put another bolt right wherever I had that old bolt. Where'd you go? It's somewhere. Let's just use this. That should be long enough. I think. Is it long enough? Shouldn't move, right? Okay. So as long as that's not going to move, now we are going to trace, well, it's already traced, but I'm going to drill those existing holes through the first skid plate, and then we should be able to bolt this portal transmission to the first skid plate. And then I just have to figure out where I'm going to mount that upper link. And then we're good. I'd rather figure out where to put that upper link than trying to work on anything else with 2 skid plates. 2 skid plates just feel ridiculous. So, drill. Where's the drill? Who's got the drill? Actually, I'm going to save the battery on this because that's a really thick skid plate. We're going to put some power to it. Alright, here goes nothing. You're going to make it. Beautiful. Next. Whoops. I forgot this drill bit. It's very old and kind of broken. I've been working on pretty much zero budget for a lot of my builds lately. I'm pretty happy with being able to build stuff without spending money. Ah, no you don't. Oh, come back up. Come on. Alright, so this, in theory, should work. And all I should have to figure out, engineering-wise, is where to put one link. Because, right? Right? Yeah? I may be remembering why I had that there. I may have to flip some stuff, I think. Definitely don't pay attention to anything I'm doing. This is all for entertainment. Because I'm telling you right now, if you try and do what I'm doing, it's probably not going to work. It barely works when I do it. Now, you're probably better at it than I am, but I'm just going with the flow on building stuff. And a double skid plate just seems really weird to me. So let's get that out of the way. And then this. So we have to figure out how to. I could do that with some long hardware. I think. Take some long hardware like that. Right through there. Yeah. Yeah, that would work. Sure. I think. I don't know. That's a nice thing about this, especially this type of hobby. Because don't get me wrong, if I was doing stuff on one-to-ones or building, stuff that would take me to work back and forth, it would be a little bit more important. You would have to do things the right way. But with RC, I mean, as long as you don't burn your house down, you can pretty much do whatever you want. If something sounds like a cool idea to try, even if it doesn't work, go ahead, try it. I will say that RC can get like super expensive if you're, getting into the really high-end stuff. And when stuff is like super expensive like that, I wouldn't recommend just like winging it on stuff. You might want to watch some videos. Safety. Yeah, that looks okay. I think we can make that work. Long hardware. So what we would have to do, and I also have to figure out where to put this link. Without that link, I mean, the axle's just going to float side to side a little bit. So, like, it's not the end of the world if I don't mount that in the perfect spot. But I would like it to be mounted somewhere. Honestly, hey, that's not a bad idea. I could turn this head this way or this way and just mount it right there. Just flat, straight to the skid. If there's space for that. That actually, that solves the problem pretty easily. Alright, so we have 2 long screws. And like I said, this is just we're all winging this. Okay, I'm trying to make it better. It could make it worse, and then if that happens, I'll just convert everything back to the way it was. But 2 skid plates just seems weird. I don't know of anybody else who is bolting skid plates to other skid plates to make stuff work. I did it just because I was lazy and didn't feel like engineering that part. But now I've had time to think and play with this some, and I got to get those drive shafts lower. We got to make the drive line as straight as possible, or we're going to start snapping drive shafts. Where is? Oh, there it is. All right, so now we got the 2 holes right there. That's got to go here. Right there. Oof. That is going to be snug up against that. Man, I wish I could spin that around somehow. Be so much easier. Ooh, I could. Man, that's a lot of work. I have to do so much work to make that happen. It might be worth it though. You know? So essentially the problem I'm running into is that this link mount right here is touching the motor, and I want that to sit lower. So essentially what I'm gonna have to do to make this work, I think, is I'm going to have to unbolt the first skid plate, unbolt all the links, and spin that skid plate around backwards so that this can mount in there. And if I do that, then the holes I just drilled mean absolutely nothing. So, this is why it takes so long to build stuff. Like, I don't know where we're at on time, but how much time have we got? We're 30 minutes in. 30 minutes in, and I have just learned that all the work I just did isn't going to work. And that's just part of building. Now, when you build kits and stuff, there's directions, and it goes a lot smoother. When you're trying to build stuff that has no directions and you're just like slapping stuff together that doesn't normally go together, that probably shouldn't go together, you're going to run into these problems, and you can't get discouraged by it. You just have to, look at the project for what it is and be like, okay, is this the direction we want to take? And now sometimes, there's stuff where you can't go backwards on it. You're like, oh, I've already committed to this. I've already cut this off or whatever it is. But that's all part of the build. It really is. It's unfortunate, but to me, honestly, all I have to really do is, like I said, flip this back around and drill 1 or 2 new holes. So it's not the total end of the world, but it's a lot of extra work I wasn't planning on doing. But that's okay. Then what I'll have to do is, the rear end will be a little quirky with its links, but the rear end on pullers, if you're in the super stock and pro modified, you can have pretty much locked rear suspension. Now I have a little bit of flex in the rear suspension, but I think as far as the rules go, you can pretty much have that thing locked down and it's fine. So if the links are so kind of cocked weird and stuff, if I have to just zip tie everything together to make it fused, that's what I'll do. Won't be a big deal. We're learning. That's the wrong size. We're learning of what's achievable with spare parts, essentially. And they're not even spare parts. It's more like I didn't even really want to use these parts anymore because I've gotten enough time out of them. Like, most of these parts are worn out. They're old. And I was probably going to sit in a parts bin for all eternity, is more than likely what was going to happen. So I decided to give these parts new life. And I was like, hey, I bet I can build something out of all of that stuff. I don't know. That's a long screw. All right. Yeah, like, speaking of parts bins, so I have like 3 or 4 of these just bins just full of parts. And that's essentially what I built this out of, is just multiple bins of this. So even if stuff doesn't work out, it's better than it sitting in a bin doing nothing. Now, like some of my really nice rigs and stuff, they need maintenance too, but sometimes I really don't have the mental capacity to do maintenance when I'd rather be creative and try and build something that hasn't been built before. And that, that to me is fun. Some people see this stuff as like legit work and they don't really like it. They'd rather pay somebody to build a truck for them. And I can understand that. I would never do that. I build all my own stuff. I do all my own maintenance. I may not be, ecstatically happy to do maintenance, like tearing down axles and greasing them and stuff, but I still do it because I know it needs to be done. Because if you don't do it, stuff breaks. And it gets more expensive down the road if you don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Take all these links out. Hopefully I can slide that skid plate out without unbolting everything. But we'll see. Like I said, the only other thing I really wanted to work on today was just gluing my mirrors back on the SCX-10. I didn't really want to work on my trailer. It was just kind of, if I had time, I would work on it. And then we'll go from there. But, yeah, man. Oh, off the plug. Off the plug. The electronics in this, this is a little Hobby Wing 1060. It's like at the time when I bought it, it was like a $35 or $40 ESC. And then this is a Holmes 540 27 or 35 turn. I can't remember. It's a junk motor that's been in like 5 other vehicles that I'm just slapping together. All right, what else do we got? We got some more skid plate screws. Oh, do I have to unbolt anything? No, I've already got all that. Also, if I have time, it's not going to happen today, but before Rock the Ozarks, if I have time, I'm going to rebuild this weight box and make that look a little nicer. Essentially what that is about 4 pounds of steel and some duct tape with some polystyrene wrapped around it. That's pretty much all that weight box is. I would like to put rollers on it just in case the front end nosedives. We'll see if we get to there or not. This is part of the reason why, sometimes videos don't get made, because I spend, 6 or 8 hours building something and I didn't bother to film any of it. And that's my fault, but I usually don't think anybody wants to see me make mistakes and then go back and redo everything over and over and over again for like 6 to 8 hours. Like, that just doesn't seem like entertainment to me. But today is kind of a chill day. It's Friday. We're just hanging out. And that can be fun. That can be fun too, when you're just hanging out, screwing around with something that's not super important. Keeps your mind off the stuff that could be bothering you or whatever. And I kind of want to give that to other people too. So, like, if you're having kind of a really crappy day already, take your mind off it. Think about stuff that doesn't really matter, like hobby stuff. If you don't have a hobby yet, I strongly consider you getting into RC, because it can be very fun as long as you go into it with an open mind it's not as expensive as some people think. Now, when you look at the initial price, let me shut up and pay attention here. So we had it this way. We're going to flip it this way. Let's put that in there before I forget what I'm doing. That has happened. I have completely taken stuff apart, and then I was like, why did I do that? Why did I take that apart? Back in you go. All right. So now, after we just unbolted all that, now we're going to bolt everything back together and do what we did again and face the motor in the right direction so that the drive line is down low. That's what we're planning. So let's, oh, come on. Now all my links are dangling everywhere. Come on. Come on. Get back in there. I need an assistant. Sheesh. There we go. Alright, that's good enough. That weight box makes moving this thing around ridiculous, but makes for a good puller having all the weight up front like that. Alright, so now we're going to bolt this skid plate back up, put all these links back in. I can't remember exactly what my reasoning was for putting plastic links on the front. You would think, you know, you want metal everything. But honestly, sometimes metal links are great. Sometimes it's unnecessary. I think because I have metal links on the centers, so I think that'll hold just fine. Maybe I want the front axle to flex or something. I don't know. Maybe they were just the right lengths. Sometimes I just, like I said, I pulled all that stuff out of spare parts, and that's why it's looking the way it's looking. So, can we get these to line up without breaking a fingernail? Probably not. I need those. And then we're going to move you in there. Come on. These links are not, these are like Traxxas, maybe E-Revo links or something. I don't know. They're definitely not made for this truck at all. It was what I had in the bin. So sometimes I consider that bragging rights. If you took something that definitely was not designed to go together and then you made it work, that's cool. That's some engineering props. That's some good work if you can slap stuff together. I mean, this does work. It just, I think it could work better without that double skid plate weirdness going on. I need to, right there. Let's, no. We were doing this. Right? Goes all the way through? Yep. Okay. Come on, little link. I probably should bolt the metal links on first, but that would make too much sense. And that would just be too easy. There we go. And now we're going to do the upper. How are we going to do the upper? How are we going to do the upper? I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead. We're gonna slap stuff together and hope it works. This can go there, right? In it. I may have to. Yep. I have to adjust these out some more. You would think just spinning it around, you wouldn't have to adjust that much, but I swear every time I make any slight, small, even the smallest of changes, I always have to adjust links afterwards. Whether it's a steering link or anything like that. And that is also part of the hobby. A lot of people don't understand that. They think, which, that's entirely up to you. If all you want to do is just drive RC and, you know, either pull or crawl or race or whatever, there's people like that. There's people that's all they want to do is just drive. But my personal opinion is working on it, learning the mechanical skill of it, doing your maintenance, customizing, that is all tied into the lifeblood of the actual hobby. And some people miss out on that. Some people are like, well, I just want to drive, And I'm not really worried about, you know, doing maintenance and stuff like that. But to me, that's like, that's part of the hobby. Not everybody's as mechanically inclined. Some people, I mean, especially like kids just getting into it, into hobby grade stuff, they're probably not going to know everything right off the bat. But that's why there's such a great community on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. All of these RC people, 9 times out of 10, they're all super helpful. They will help you figure out what you need to figure out. And there's also plenty of people that will call you an idiot and tell you you're screwing stuff up because you're doing something different than the way they do. And that's just a human condition thing. There's always bad apples in every hobby, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. All we can do is just say, you know, do your own thing. Leave other people be. Come on. In you go. Come on. This is probably like the hardest way to do this. Normally when I built the truck from scratch, I had no electronics in it, so I wasn't like wiggling around wires and trying to adjust linkages and wheelbase stuff. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Now my wheelbase is going to be different. So now I have to adjust these links to match the wheelbase of that body. That's all part of custom building stuff. Whether you custom build stuff to make it look super nice or you custom build stuff to make it look janky as all get out, either way, it's about the same amount of effort. Sometimes I just do stuff the hard way just to do it. I have no idea why. It's just part of my building brain, I guess. I don't know. So this link can go there. So, all right, that's got to be out of the way. Now, before we go too far into this, I want to make that go right about there. If I can make that work. If I can make that work, where is my drive shafts going to be? See, it's going to be, well, can I make it go this way? I mean, that adds a lot of weight to one side, and that adds more of a thing in there. This is problematic. Maybe this is a reason why. And like I said, if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to take this all back apart again, flip it back around, and then end up going with the double skid plate thing like I had before. I was just trying really hard not to have to use 2 skid plates. But we'll see. Alright, so that's going to require some serious measurement and engineering if I can even make that work. Because see, if you can look, I don't know if I can hold this on camera. It might go. Alright. This is a super heavy truck. So the motor, I can't get the motor low enough to get the driveline down. Now on my old chassis, I had a skid plate drop bracket, and I was trying to do that to this without needing the skid plate drop bracket. However, I may just have to bite the bullet on that and look at a skid plate drop bracket to make that work. Now that that's all in pieces, whoa, that's not going to work. I think we're going to take a mental break on this and try and figure out what to do if I have to keep the double skid plates. Drop down bracket's going to be the only way to make that work, I think. So essentially, we use that as practice today. So let's work on something that's actually going to get fixed. This is what we do when we're unsuccessful on practices. This is why videos take long to come out sometimes when it comes to like builds and stuff, is because I could spend all day, literally all day, building an RC and get nowhere on it. Like I've tried and tried and tried different links, different wheelbases. See, look at the wheel. The wheelbase is totally, well, it's not totally different, but it's different enough. It's gonna rub. So yeah, I'm gonna have to flip that skid plate back around, put everything back the way it was, and then figure out how to drop the main skid plate down in order to get that drive line to straighten out. So that's where that's going to be. We'll play with that off camera later. Let's get some actual work done. Some easy work. Something that's not going to hurt my brain. And let's work on this, because this just needs a little bit of maintenance. Basically just gluing the mirrors back on. Like I said, the video for this truck drops today at 5. And that'll be a pretty epic video. It's a little long. I think it's like 16 minutes or something like that. But I take some seriously hard lines, and I did roll this thing once pretty good. It was a pretty good roll. But it survived. It just, I lost the mirrors. Personally, I think these mirrors are so fragile that you can pretty much just flick them off. So I do eventually want to go with some bendy mirrors. We're just going to take a little drop. Is this the right glue? Yes. We're going to take a little drop of super glue on both sides. A little dab. Dab it up. And then stick them right back on. Super glue, Gorilla super glue, I think is like 10 or 15 seconds. So all you really have to do is just hold whatever you're trying to glue on. You don't want to use a lot of glue. The more glue you use, the longer it takes to stick. So keep that in mind when you're gluing stuff. But I put some shrink wrap around here to try and make it a little bendy. It didn't help. It looks okay though. It doesn't hurt the look of it any. That's at least 10 seconds. There we go. Boom. That part's done. Say, look at me. I'm just the maintenance wizard over here, fixing stuff. Even though I can't find the mirror that I just had in my hand. I just had it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Bruh. Oh, there it is. Some days, man. Some days. The brain fog is so thick. I'm sure there's other people out there that know what I'm talking about. Probably why I'm struggling on that puller build right now is I guess I need to try that neuro gum stuff or something. Maybe that can help me focus. Because like my brain is a scattered bag of squirrels most days. I gotta clean this thing too. Gotten some seriously deep water with this in the new video coming up. Didn't intend on going in that deep of water, but it just kind of worked out that way. And anytime I do go into like seriously deep water and stuff, I do tear down my trucks and, you know, re-grease things, check, make sure there's no milky, muddy mess in the diffs and whatnot before I drive them again. I will never run a truck in the mud and water, put it up, and then go run in mud and water again. There always has to be a breakdown period in between that. Because you have to know what condition your truck is in before, you know, going out there and beating on it. Otherwise, you're going to break stuff. You're going to break stuff that you may have otherwise not broken. All right, so let's get that going. And the thing I really like about these old school SCX10s, they're so easy to work on. The newer stuff, I do really feel like the newer stuff is getting more and more complicated, which it shouldn't. It should be more and more simple. Like the Fusion 2-in-1s, those are great. That's simplifying things. You're making things, you know, more simplified. This has a standard 3-gear transmission. Those are like super easy to work on. Let me get my chair. I'm going to put this over here. I might make some videos with the excavator later today. Just build it good. Absolutely just build it good. That's, I have to build it bad, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times before it's a good build. Every now and then, I do it good like the first time, like 1 out of every maybe 5 or 6 times. So that's that's my learning curve, I would say, is I build it like crap, and then I'm like, okay, that didn't work, so let's oh, I know what we can do. I do have to do maintenance on this. I'm not gonna shy away from the maintenance on that, but I do need to take the wheels off of that puller before I put it back today, and I'm gonna put some thread lock, some real mild thread lock on that hardware because the hardware keeps coming out. Where is Doodlebug? Doodlebug. Where'd he go? There. I'm sure everybody's got about 15 of those. But yeah, this thing got in some seriously deep water, and I'm curious to see if these axles kept the water out. I did put marine grease in here. I don't know what day that was, but when I built these axles, I built them with marine grease. They're not packed full. You don't want to completely pack your axles, but I usually put enough around the bearings and outsides and stuff just to keep water from getting in there and tearing stuff up. So I am curious to see if these axles seal or not, because some axles, regardless of how much grease you put in them, they don't keep water out. Some axles are just not good for going in water. And that's something, like, everybody has their preference, but I will tell you, I have yet to see a portal axle keep mud and water out. And I have put marine grease in there, and it always finds a way in. Always. Not immediately, but it always seems to find a way in. And I don't know if that's just the design of portals, how they just don't seal good, or what. I don't know what that is. That's part of the reason why I only run straight axles, is they tend to keep water out of the dips a lot easier. Which it's also a personal preference for me because I like the scale realism. And don't get me wrong, portal axles are on real cars. I mean, people do put portal axles on their real cars. But it's few and far between. Alright, so let's get to work on this axle. What is the fastest way to take that apart? I gotta take link risers off. These old school SCX10 axles are actually really simple of a design, and personally I really enjoy that about them. Get you off of there. Like, yeah, it's old technology, but sometimes they get it right the first time. I want to say this was the first generation style of axle. I don't know if the AX10 had the same axles when it first came out, but I think so. We gotta see where we're at on time. I don't want this to be a crazy long live stream because I'm really not getting a whole lot done today. It's more about, I don't know, we're just killing time, trying to get some stuff done. That is the wrong size. Maintenance stuff. I also, which this, everybody has their own preference, but the hardware on the original SCX10s and the original Wraiths and stuff, they're all coarse thread. And the coarse thread hardware, in my opinion, I like it. I think it grips better. I think it holds in place. It has a lot less likelihood of backing out. Put that in there. I know it's probably driving people nuts that I'm mixing hardware because I got the puller hardware over here and I got the crawler hardware over here. My brain somehow can keep track of it. I don't know how to explain it, but it does. I will say that if one axle has mud and water in it, there's a good chance both axles have mud and water in it. So I usually start on one axle, either the front or the rear. The rear is usually always easier to take apart. But I will also tell you, if your rear axle doesn't have mud and water in it, there's a good chance your front axle doesn't have mud or water in it. I mean, very rarely are you in mud and water unevenly. Usually, if you got mud in one, you're going to have mud in the other, and if you don't have mud in one, you're not going to have mud in the other. So, checking the rear axle first is usually my go-to to see whether or not they hold up. All right, there we go. These are Vanquish goodies, by the way. Discontinued. Can't find them anymore. So far, so good. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So it doesn't look like we got any mud or water in there. Nope. Clean as a whistle. I like that. Now we just got to put everything back together. And see, just that little bit of maintenance right there, if you want to call it maintenance, I mean, I didn't have to really add anything. I'm really just checking stuff. And you should check stuff. You don't have to do this after every run, but if you go in mud, you go in water, it's a good idea to check it. Are these all the way in? I guess they are. Yeah. Okay. Why is that one like that? That should be... Oh, that's why, because the bearing's still in there. Yeah, it's clean. Good deal. I like that. I like when I don't have to completely tear something down. Which I've been doing this for quite some time now. Goes that way. Why does it go that way? It shouldn't go that way. You guys literally just seen me do that. What the heck? I'm having brain fog problems today. Oh, there we go. Well, if it goes that way, it should go that way, right? No. Now my fingers are getting greasy. This is the right side, isn't it? Yeah. Why am I struggling so much? That is not how that goes. It goes in the other way. It goes that way. These axles have a slot on the top and the bottom, and it's supposed to match up with the slot that's here. What about this one? Is that one the one? Yeah, that one goes on fine. What the heck? That's weird. Why is this one not going on? Didn't ask it nicely enough. That's what it was. Yep. Didn't ask it nicely. Oh, I need a rag. There we go. Look at that. It's always a little dirty working on these things. But I mean, you'd be a whole lot dirtier if you're working on one-to-one stuff. Anytime I work on my one-to-one Jeep, I'm always covered in grease and oil of some kind. I mean, anytime I have to work on anything, really, it goes like that. Alright, so let's put a little socket right there, and then we're going to tap these on nicely. Let's go this way. Till the holes line up. Just like that. And then we are going to put these back in. Why is that not working? Come on. That might go in the top. Top first. Why is it not working? Huh. Let's tap this side in. Hammer. Little tap. We don't want to scratch the vanquish parts. We want to keep those nice. But I mean, I don't have shelf queens. I drive my stuff. That's pretty good. That might be why. Might not be fully seated in there like I think it is. Let's see where we're at on time. I feel like it's already been way past an hour. Where are we at? Yeah, we're past an hour. It's all right. I guess I'll put this back together and then we'll call it a day on the live stream. I still have a lot of work to do. I will eventually get that puller back together sometime today. I'm going to try to make a video with it this weekend. I don't know when that'll actually come out. It just depends. I have an upload schedule. All my videos are scheduled. So what I film today, you may not see for like a week or two. It just depends on what's going on with how much footage I have and what I have released and stuff like that. Which can get really complicated sometimes. Alright, we need you. Beautiful. See, that one went in, so I think that one just wasn't in all the way. Yep. How about now? Oh, it's still not working. What the heck? Oh, I know what I did. It's because I pulled that thing out. Rude. So rude. Can't believe I did that to myself. I know what the problem is, and now I don't want to... There we go. So, these have axle tubes in them, and I wasn't thinking about that, but they have a hole that needs to line up between the plastic axle housing and the actual axle tube. And that is what I did wrong. That's got to go back in there, and then that's got to slide in there. There's your problem. Alright, so that hole has to line up. Beautiful. Just like that. Alright. I was wondering what I was doing wrong. Sometimes you can figure that out. Sometimes you gotta sit there and think on it. I don't know. I'm sure there's videos of people working on these, what, like 17-year-old axles. I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there. And that's another cool thing about this community is that there's a good chance that the person that was doing maintenance videos on these things 17 years ago probably didn't get paid anything. They did that just to help other people in the hobby. And that's great. That's something I really love about the RC community is that everybody is, 9 times out of 10, everybody's so helpful. Especially if you're trying to learn. I will say, come on. I think that screw's a little long. I'm pretty sure that one was kind of long when I put it in there. I may not have all the original hardware in there is the problem. So let's put pins in there. Got the 12 mil axle pins, wherever those went. That's that one. Go in there. Put that on there. Anytime I do anything with a 1.5 hardware, it's always by hand. That's a really easy size to strip out. But we're going to put our wheel hub or axle nuts back on. I can't ever remember terminology correctly. It's always the thingy. The thingy went on the thing, and now it works. Don't ask questions. Alright. Where is my other hex hub? Where did you go? I thought I put everything on there. The thing that I just had 5 seconds ago. It's probably stuck in one of these wheels. Yep, there it is. Come on. I gotta clean these wheels too. They're full of sand and dirt. I really like these wheels. These are SSDs. Very shiny and pretty. Come on. What can I put in there? Is that thin enough? That is not thin enough. I need something thin enough. Use a little piece of hardware. Am I gonna push that out? Come on. Little tap. There we go. Tricks of the trade that you will learn over time is how to tap and pop things out of place. What did I say? 1.5? Yeah. 1.5 on these. This should not have gotten stuck in the wheel, so I probably didn't have this hex on tight enough. Cool. Spin this around. And then we got to bolt those link risers on. No. What did I just say? Sometimes I don't listen to me either. There we go. That's on good. Now we got to put our link risers on. That you can use those for. If it's 2 mil or bigger, I use an electric drill if I can, just to save my wrist. Like I said, there's some days where I'm literally at this workbench for 8 hours, either doing maintenance, because like my kids have RCs, my wife has RCs, and I do maintenance on all of them. I do all the maintenance. And that, sometimes means I'm stuck at this bench for like 8 hours, taking RCs apart and cleaning stuff and putting stuff back together. Now, like I said, my custom builds and stuff, sometimes I'm putting stuff together the wrong way for 8 hours. That's always a bunch of fun. There we go. Now, okay, I'm going to leave the wheels off because I'm going to clean these. Usually what I do is I just go outside, put them in a bucket with some Dawn dish soap, scrub them real good. Those are good. Am I missing another hub? Yes, I am. Look at all the dirt and stuff out of there. Let's do what we just did a minute ago. Take a little screw and tap and tap. Come on. There we go. Ta-da! Yeah, sometimes those hex hubs, they like to get stuck. They don't get stuck nearly as often in plastic wheels. I've noticed they get stuck in metal wheels all the time. And usually, if you get hex hubs as like an upgrade or something, you kind of want to find the ones with a screw on them so that they actually tighten. And then remember to actually tighten them, which apparently is what I forgot to do. Yeah, if you tighten those down pretty good, they should, those should not slide off. Some of them, like the, that's not a good example. Some hex hubs, I don't have one right now. Some hex hubs actually have a hole drilled all the way through them, and you actually screw the pin through the hex hub. Those are really good ones too. But if you're not going to get those, at least try and find, for crawlers anyway, find some that actually squeeze onto the drive shaft. Or not drive shaft, axle shaft. Alright, so that's pretty much done. It just needs tires cleaned. And then this is ready to go back out on the trails. We got our mirrors glued back on. Like I said, I'll clean those later today. Pretty much the rest of the day, after I clean those, is going to be working on that puller. I'm going to take everything back apart, figure out how to do that. I may just put everything back to the way it was and just run it and see if it breaks or not. If it breaks, then sure, yeah, we'll figure out something else to do with that. But like I said, it's probably not going to compete heavily or anything. It's just going to be more of a show piece. Look good going down the track. That's all I'm kind of worried about with that. So we're pretty much done with this. Gonna cut the live stream. Appreciate everybody watching, seeing my shenanigans and me building stuff the wrong way for like a full hour. You watch that whole hour, I appreciate it. I hope you're not taking any of my advice, because don't. I do this for fun, and it's for entertainment. Hopefully today was a little bit entertaining for you. It's a pretty chill Friday. Hope the rest of your day goes good, everybody. I will catch you on the next one. See ya.